What is up, everybody? Skratch coming up with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we got Ash on the channel. What's up, Ash? How you doing, buddy?
Yo, Skratch, I'm doing great, man. How are you? How are you, man?
Doing pretty great. Excited about all the fuss with Live Arena and the rest of the things. Hopefully, it's gonna be a dope patch. Looking forward to it. In today's,
Same, man.
Yeah, absolutely. In today's video, guys, we're gonna talk about some epic champions that are better than legendaries. So if you have them, don't sleep on them. We're not gonna cover every single epic in the game that is better than legendaries because we have so many. But we're gonna talk about some of the newish champions, not each one of them, but champions that are not so obvious, you know.
Yeah, I like it, man. I like it because there's a lot of new, really good new epic champions in the game.
100%, and they're bringing quite a few. Curious to see what's the next batch of champions, you know. But Ash, if you wanna start with the very first epic, man, since you're the guest in here, let's bring us in for the surprise, you know.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's not a surprise to anybody who hears me speak on this epic and drool all over him every single time I mention his name. It is Tagore, my friend. Do you know Tagore?
Absolutely, the newish orc, yeah.
Yeah, dude. I love this champion so much, man. I recently ranked like the top 15 epics, and I put him at number 3 overall in the game. And I stand by that. I'm so high on this dude. So he's got the magic stick, and his A1 attacks one enemy 2 times. We get the big version of increased defense for 2 turns on the ally who needs it the most, the ally with the current lowest HP. Not a bad A1 for a support champion, and then it just keeps getting better from there. We have Charge Cant is A2, a 3-turn cooldown, AoE attack, and this dude, Skratch, he does like some sneaky damage for a support champion. I was surprised, you know, at the damage he can put out. Anyway, increased speed, big version on all allies for 2 turns, and then heals all allies based on this champion's max HP. Can scale it nice and high. So a good heal, big version of increased speed, decent damage, all on a 3-turn cooldown.
Pretty nice.
And then,
go on,
right,
sorry, go on.
Now I'm on a roll, man.
You're on a roll, huh?
Tagore, bro. Rise and Fight revives all dead allies, 30% HP on a 5-turn cooldown, has a shield on them for 2 turns, equal to, again, 20% of this champion's max HP. So it's not the strongest revive, but it is a 5-turn cooldown, and it is everybody. He's got that shield on them as well. And then Aid the Feeble, his passive. This cannot be discounted in his kit. It's like the cherry on top, man. Decreases the damage received by allies, but with 50% HP or less by 10%, dude. That's a really strong passive, especially for an epic champion. Just, it's not on AoE attacks. It's not on critical attacks. It's not provided they're under increased speed or something weird like that. It's just flat out 10% damage mitigation when they need it the most, when they're less than 50% HP. So again, he's pretty fast as well. I love this dude, man.
Yeah, he's actually pretty interesting. And how you mentioned sneaky damage, similar with Sinesha and other support champions. Because if you're looking at the kit, you're like, okay, I would expect him to either deal damage based on defense or HP or stuff like that. But then he has that sneaky attack that can definitely make it work. Super powerful in Faction Wars and carrying dungeons with the revive and everything. Not many champions bring a whole team revive, you know, which is definitely so important.
Yeah, the damage mitigation, the full team revive, the solid heal on a 3-turn cooldown, the increased speed, the damage, the HP in all battles aura. Really love this dude.
100%. Definitely looks very solid, and I don't think he was part of a fusion, right? He was just added to the game.
No, he was just a random. One day I logged in and there was a new orc called Tagore, and I was like, okay, who's this dude?
He was just there, you know, like
he was just there.
Slide it in the game.
Who you got, man?
I've got. This is an obvious pick, guys, but I feel like if I'm not gonna mention him, you're gonna burn my house down, you know, because he's such a powerful champion. It's not possible to make an epic list without talking about Geomancer, you know, and I know it's very obvious, but man, Geomancer is still at the top of the food chain, right? Like everything that he does, Hydra, Clan Boss, Doom Tower bosses, just regular bosses, is just nuts. The A1 AoE, decreased accuracy. If you're struggling in Faction Wars, throw a stun set on him and he's gonna do some work. The A2 removes all buffs from a target enemy, then attacks them or steals them if the target is under HP burn placed by the champion. Reduces the cooldown of the skill if he kills somebody, which is unlikely, but it can happen. And then fully depletes the target star meter. A lot of people don't really think of Geomancer like a good Terminator manipulation champion for the Spider Dungeon, for example, while they're progressing through the game, you know. And if you chuck a stone stun set on him, sorry, not a stone skin, with the A1 can help you to control the spiderlings, the weaken, the HP burn, and the reflect damage from the passive, which is just absolutely nuts. Love this epic champion. Definitely one of the best champions in the game all around. Epic, legendaries, whatever, you know.
No, I agree. He would be on my short list of champions that I would probably put on, my short list of epic champions that I would put on like my most powerful champions, including all legendaries, you know. You're right, though. It's a good point about stealing his turn meter on the A3 and about the AoE on the A1, stealing all buffs on the A2 if they're under burn. Like, he brings so much. We just think of him, or at least I do, of like, oh, the damage. It's insane, you know? But he's bringing so much other than just the damage as well. Really, really love Geo.
Absolutely. What do we have next on the list, Ash?
Yeah, man. I mean, this one might be obvious as well, but at least he's new. And that is the Skinwalker Void Affinity Temptum. Boy, oh boy, man. This guy is insanely good. Have you built him? Have you tried him?
Man, I finally pulled him during this 2X.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I finally got him. Man. I was missing him on the account, you know. I haven't got a legendary on the 2X, which is fine, because what I really wanted to get was Temptum. I really want to see how he performs on the Fire Knight on hard mode. I want to take him in for a spin there. But how you mentioned, he's very, very powerful. Like, when I tested him in Hydra from the test server, he was actually out-damaging like Husk and other champions like this. So definitely very, very solid, yeah.
It's insane, man. I see a lot of speed runs now on Spider 10 using him and Dark Kale together as well. Just a really special champion, and similar to Geo, he just does something that even legendaries can't necessarily do. His kit is incredibly unique. A triple hitter, to your point, you know, about Fire Knight on the A1. He has the poison, and then if the target's under a hex, which he brings for like, he brings hex and then he increases the duration. And basically, when you use him on a team, you'll find that hex is like 6 turns, 7 turns. It's never falling off of your enemies, right? But before we get to that, provided they're under a hex, he's going to use a debuff spread, taking a random debuff from the target, placing it on all enemies. A really powerful A1 ability. And then his A2, his only other active ability, is going to be on a 3-turn cooldown, attacks everybody 3 times. So this dude is great with Giant Slayer. He's got a triple hitter on his A1, triple hitter on his A2. Each hit has a 75% chance of increasing the duration of any hex debuffs on the enemies for 1 turn. If enemies are not under hex, he'll place the hex for 2 turns, and then his amazing passive has a 100% chance of inflicting damage from 1 poison debuff to enemies under hex debuffs whenever their allies receive damage from poison debuffs. It's a really, really interesting kit, and you just gotta try it. You gotta see it to believe it, Skratch. It's just really, really fun. You put him with a champion like, again, Dark Kale, who probably should also be on this list today because he's one of my faves. It's insane, man. He's one of the coolest champions, just in my opinion, that they've added a long, long time to the game. He's just so fun to play. He's a damage machine. He looks so cool. I love this dude.
Yeah, he's looking freaking awesome. And how you mentioned, right? One of the best champions that they recently added to the game, and very, very powerful. I feel like at the beginning, a lot of people kind of like wanted to underestimate the champion, you know, because he's not gonna be that great, but actually, he's really, really powerful, you know, like he doesn't have the...
Don't you find that with epics? Don't you find that, like, it takes a few months for people to really realize, like, looking back at old epics, like, I remember, I'm going way back to 2019 or something, but, like, it sounds crazy to say now, but it took maybe, like, 3 or 4 or 5 months for people to realize Stag Knight was good. Like, some people realized early, but for the whole community to be like, wow, this guy's amazing. Same thing with, you know, almost every good epic, I felt like it took a while, either new content emerging in the game or people just to get the name out there a little bit more. Even like with Geo in the early days, granted he was changed quite a bit, but I find with epic champions, it takes a while for them to, Godseeker and Neri, etc., for them to really, you know, get their name out there as one of the best in the game.
100%, and it's the same with free champions as well. Like, if you're just getting a free champion, even if it's legendary, epic, whatever, or sometimes even a fusion that really seems like it has potential, a lot of people tend to be like, well, it's not that great, he's not gonna be useful. Ultimate Death Knight is not great, and he's everywhere now, man.
All
like,
of them.
Like they're just so freaking amazing, you know. But Temptum, a very, very solid champion. And I'm gonna move over to a newish champion as well, and I'm a big fan from the Sylvan Watchers. We're gonna have Ruella Man, she just does so much, you know. Pretty good base stats, very nice speed, 112 speed. She enables quite a few different clan boss teams. She's gonna be great for the faction wars and even for dungeons and other content. I feel like she's definitely very powerful. On the A1, a triple hitter. Each critical hit has a 100% chance fully booked of stealing 5% of the target's turn meter. The A2 attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a chance to land the defense down and weaken, and a decreased speed for 2 turns. What a lot of people don't really know about this skill is that because she attempts to place all the debuffs with each one of the hits, is actually almost better than having the 100% chance, because if you have a one-time hit with a 100% chance, if the 3% chance comes in play, you're not gonna land everything. But this skill actually is much better, because 3 hits attempting to land all the debuffs, you have a higher chance to land all 3 at the same time, you know?
It's a good point. Yeah.
Very, very nice skill. And then fills the turn meter of all allies and gives you increased crit rate on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, which is so damn nice. The accuracy aura for dungeons. And how I mentioned, that base speed is just disgusting at 112, you know? And she looks awesome.
She does look awesome. I didn't realize that she has... Is that one wing that she has? Is that a cape or a wing?
It's kind of like a dragon wing or something on the back. Something like that. Man. Yeah, pretty...
No, but you're right. She's a really, really cool champion. Bringing the big version of all those debuffs on that A2 is really, really solid as well. I liked what you pointed out about the triple hitter. So I totally agree with you. I'm curious, though, because... I think in a vacuum, I would probably pick White Dryad Naya from the Sylvan Watchers ahead of her, I should say. They're so much different, so it's hard to even compare. But what do you think about White Dryad? She's not even my pick, so I'm cheating here, Skratch. But what do you think about White Dryad Naya?
I think she's awesome as well, but I feel like it's so hard to make her work to her full potential, you know?
With that A2, you mean?
Yeah, with the A2. Yeah. Like, it's nice to have the ally protection. If the Strengthen would have been... maybe the bigger version, it would have been even better. It's not bad like this at all, actually, you know? But
yep.
She brings that. The decreased speed on the A1. AoE is great again. You can run her on a stun set if you want. She's gonna tank for you quite a bit. I like the passive. It's fairly strong. The A2 is so hard to make it work on the right champions, especially in clan boss, you know? But all around, she's a very strong champion. I feel like for the faction crypt, when it's gonna open, she's gonna be an absolute beast, you know, like super powerful.
Okay, see how I snuck in the extra there, Skratch?
Absolutely. I know you well. I know you well, Ash.
Yeah. I was trying to get that airtime maximized on my collabs, man. I guess my third champion, I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit. I'm going to go with another new champion. Again, I don't know if in a vacuum this dude's better than like Dark Kale, who I feel like I snubbed on my list, but I want an excuse to mention another one of my absolute favorites. I already talked about Tagore and Temptum, who I love, so I might as well complete the trifecta with Skaramus, a high elf magic affinity epic champion. I feel like so many people are sleeping on this champion. You can tell me why I'm right or wrong, Skratch. So HP-based champion, right? On his A1, I actually want to get to his A1 last because it synergizes so well with his A3. Okay. So let's start with his A2 ability. Effortless superiority on a 3-turn cooldown. This ability is nasty. It took me actually building this champion to fully appreciate what he's bringing to the table with this. Attacks all enemies. Decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. Also has a 75% chance of placing decreased attack for 2 turns. Fills his champion's turn meter by 10% for each buff that has a duration decreased. So I think that you read it and you think about it, it makes sense. It's not like it's rockets. It's not like it's like some abilities out there where you have to like, they're just worded weirdly, right? I mean, it's clear what this is doing, but I guess I just didn't realize how many times this would just proc an extra turn for me.
Exactly, yeah.
Because there's so, like, all it takes, obviously, is 2 champions to have 5 buffs and he's guaranteed an extra turn, basically. 100% turn meter fill, right?
Yep.
Reading that 10%, at first I just didn't fully appreciate, like, oh my god, he's always getting a full turn meter because all it takes is a few buffs on the enemy team, because every single buff on every single enemy is getting the 10% turn meter fill, which is nice. And then on his A3, he has 100% provoke placed on all enemies for 1 turn. So a 3-turn, 100% provoke. Heck, man, like, there's not that many epics that even have that ability, right?
Nope, not at all.
Plus, he has counterattack and continuous heal on himself, counterattack for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, but then he's getting the full turn meter off the A2. So he's going to be able to keep counterattack and provoke up a lot, right?
Absolutely.
And then it goes to his A1, right? Attack 1 enemy, 100% chance of stealing 15% of the target's turn meter when booked, but then has a 30% chance of placing a stun debuff as well for 1 turn if the target's turn meter is fully depleted by this skill. Basically, every time somebody's attacking him because of the provoke, they're going to have no turn meter anyway. Whatever they do have, he'll steal, and then he'll potentially stun them as well, right? So he's provoking and stunning and stealing and filling more turn meter and just doing it again and again and again and again. Super cool champion.
Absolutely, and the A3 just synergizes so well because you're getting that extra healing, you know? You're going to get hit from the provoke, so you want to make sure you're going to be able to keep the champion alive, and I feel like it's definitely a nice one. I'm a pretty big fan of the champion as well myself. I've seen it on the test server and I was like, yeah, this is definitely a great addition. Plarium, we need more epics like this, you know, because they're actually pretty nice. And the HP aura in all battles, 100%. And just take a moment, and the design on the champion looks so freaking sick, huh? Amazing.
He does look cool. He looks very legendary-like, right?
Absolutely.
Like if that was a legendary high elf, you'd be like, oh yeah, he looks good.
100%, yeah. Like I wouldn't be disappointed with that, you know.
Yeah, same.
I'm gonna go to the next and last champion, guys, and this again is gonna be a very obvious pick for a lot of you guys out there, but I'm such a simp, I just can't have her on the list because I absolutely love Godseeker Aniri. My opinion, she's the best support epic champion in the game. Like, she's just so next level. Is an absolute beast, man. Like the healing from the A1. Attacks 1 enemy, heals the ally with the lowest HP by 5% of their max HP. The A2 attacks all enemies, heals all allies by 15% of their max HP, then decreases the duration of all buffs on all enemies by 1 turn, and increases the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. She's a defense-based champion too, which is gonna help her to keep her alive. The A2 revives a dead ally with 50% HP, fills the turn meter by 50%, and resets the cooldowns on all their skills on a 4-turn cooldown. This is just so good, especially if you're doing Sand Devils, for example. Do it. It's so powerful. And even in other content, like if you're trying to maximize the damage on your nuker, like for Hydra or stuff like that, you know, like you can definitely play her out pretty nice. Plus the passive. She was such a beast for Arena when she got released because of this passive, and the revive increases the amount of healing allies received by 10%. This will be on a 4-turn cooldown fully booked. And then the active effect, if an ally is about to get killed by a fatal hit, preempts that hit and instantly places a revive on that buff on them for 1 turn before the damage is taken. So basically your ally instantly comes back to life. Is such an amazing passive, and the revive decreasing the cooldowns of all the skills is very powerful in my opinion.
I agree, man. I don't have much to add, but I completely agree. You can make a case she is one of the best support champions out there in the game entirely, you know. A unique revive that nobody else has. A second unique revive that nobody else has, and then she just got so much of what we're looking for in, you know, so many different areas of the game in terms of a buff extender with the heals as well. So yeah, totally agree on Godseeker Aniri.
Plus, she's carrying your favorite champion on the shield, you know. So
Dude, wait. Who is she carrying on the shield?
Cardial.
Oh, dude. I never even noticed that, man.
Yeah. I know you were a big simp for Cardial, so
I was. I haven't. It's crazy. You ever have this moment? Not to digress on your channel here, but to steal more of your mic time here. You ever have one of these situations where you want a champion so bad for so long, and then you get them, and then you don't really use them that much?
Yeah, it definitely happens. It definitely happens quite a lot, because especially with PvE champions, you know, because you want them so bad, you're gonna get them, and then you're like, okay, I used it a bit, but I don't think I should change my team, you know? I think I like my old team. I'm gonna leave him out, you know?
Don't get me wrong, man. I think Cardial's a top 10 champion in the game, you know? So it's not a knock on Cardial, but just like everywhere I thought he would be a big upgrade for me, it's like, just to your point, I'm like, you know, and you go through this phase of denial, right? Like it took me a few like months. I'm like, I'm gonna use cardio. I gotta use card, and then I'm like, oh man, I think I was just probably better off with whatever I was running before.
Yeah,
Not that again, that's a bad example because he's such a great champion, but I'm also a dirty, disgusting whale. So I just had better teams or whatever.
Guilty.
But yeah, so that was my situation with cardio.
I'm using him in Hydra and stuff, but a lot of other champions are going through this process on my account as well.
Yeah,
100%.
I use them, don't get me wrong. I was just so annoyed by it was mostly arena that I'm speaking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like facing cardio, but I don't love using cardio. Does that make sense? I don't know.
100%. Like, a lot of the times you get these new champions and you're trying to go for them, you don't get them only after a few months, and by the time you're getting them, they're not as meta as they used to be when they got in the game, and then it's 100% gonna happen. It's just kind of like the gacha effect, I feel like it,
It is, right? It is. Anyway, man. But yeah, dude, those are my. Do you have like one honorable mention that you think we ought to mention here that we snubbed?
Epics, like there's so many, man. It's just so
right?
hard. Like you have Seer, you have Husk, so many different epics in the game. But it's just that we kind of like wanted to have a touch on the newish epics as well. Plus these two that I just couldn't miss, like Geomancer and Godseeker and Iri. But the good part about this game is that there's so many strong epics in the game. I
have one question for you, Skratch,
yeah,
before I let you go, because you're the guy I look up to in arena, and I gotta ask, man.
Yeah.
If you had to choose only one epic to use currently, obviously in the game right now, only one epic for the rest of arena, you could only use one arena nuker epic. Who would you go with?
Just general in all the tiers, or you're kind of like trying to put it like what is the meta today and what I would use for Platinum Arena?
I'm just saying that like today you have to decide on one epic nuker to use and you can't use any legendaries, anything. You can only just go with one champion for a nuker, right? Who are you gonna pick? Who's the best of the best of the best epic nukers that you think might stand the test of time?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gonna be hard.
I could have just asked who's your favorite epic nuker, but I wanted to make it much more dramatic.
I feel like I would go probably with Gambo, honestly, as a nuker.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with him. He brings quite a few things. He's pretty strong, but yeah, I feel like Gambo would be on my list for sure. Yeah.
I think I would go Magnar only because of the go second versatility, But other than that, I would go with Gembo. It would be my second as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway,
there's just so many strong ones. But guys, bonus content for all of you. You got that right. Make sure you guys head over and check out Ash's channel. The link will be in the description down below. We've done a video there as well, which will be posted in the next couple of days or so. Ash, a pleasure to have you on the channel as always. Let us know if you feel like any other new epic champions are super, super powerful that they've been recently added to the game, and maybe we miss them. We're human, we make mistakes every now and then. But that was all for this video. Appreciate all of you guys watching. Much love, and I'll catch you all soon in the next one. Peace.